Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Karl Jobst does everything correct. He does nothing wrong, right? The DSP defense. And when it comes to deflection in this right here, I'm glad you guys pointed it out, right? When I made my Cats MVP video, when I said, hey, if he would have been there, he would have gotten the timelines right, and Karl wouldn't have lost as much money because, man, this guy really screwed the pooch, man. He did. When it comes to, when it comes to this case, because the lawyer got the timeline wrong, and I think that cost, right? It's just my belief. I'm not a lawyer, right? It's not, but from what was described in the trial about Cats and how he was just going out of his mind, right? Even in closing, this guy was fumbling the bag, and he would have been an asset, right? I feel, right? That's just my opinion, right? But you guys mentioned that if it wasn't for Cats, he would have never been in this mess to begin with. Right? But a lot of people make it seem like Cats is behind the scenes, pulling the strings, the puppet master, give him all this. I don't think so. I think, looking back, I think that Apollo Legend, found a golden goose, if you will, of making content on people who were not being honest about their video game scores, was making videos on this, were getting tons and tons of views, right? And a lot of people latched onto that, like one Karl Jobst, and started basically doing the same thing, right? Just copy and pasting something that he started. And then after he started having his troubles, they were just trying to scoop up his audience, right? There's no honor among thieves in YouTube. There isn't. And I'll show you right here, because even though Cats is, I have to say, from what I've seen, Karl Jobst's biggest supporter, aside from, the Minecraft guy that gave him all kinds of buku bucks. And, that has proven to be true. I heard Luz talking about it this morning, about the theory that I had, which is, Karl Jobst just said, go ahead and spend it, man, because, we got a billionaire behind us, and we're going to win this case anyway, so go ahead. It's like when I go to Vegas. If I'm getting comp, baby, right? If I'm not paying, hey, let's get the suite. I want champagne. I want bottle service. I'm getting everything in the fridge. But as soon as I have to pay, then we got to talk about the combo package. We got to look at some coupons. We're going to Groupon, right? So, he overspent because of that. But let's get back to this here. And let me show you the moment that Cats gets thrown under the bus.
Of Apollo Legend paying Billy any money. Even though this claim did turn out to be false, I believed it to be true at the time. I had been personally told, and look at that, Cats, right? I find it curious that he put his logo, his name right out there on this message exchange, right? I believed it to be true. Bam, there it is. This guy told me that it was true. But in the next, text message that he puts out, which numerous others said they were told as well.
The guy's name isn't there. Who's this from? Are we suspect that it's from him? He's not mentioned. There's no username, right? There is no honor among thieves, let me tell you. It's not Karl's fault. He was given faulty information by one Cats, right? However you pronounce it, man. These names get complicated for a fool from East LA. English is my second language, man. There is no mercy here for the tongue-tied. But this is like Dumb and Dumber law opinions here, guys, because after this is done, right, this comes out, right? This article, which is just damning for Karl's appeal if he wants to do one. This article on Judge Ken Barlow is the most gullible man alive. Now, let me ask you something, guys. Do you guys talk to your buddies at work, right? Do you have your boys at work, right? If somebody comes after your boys, what do? I don't know if these guys think this happens in a bubble, like the courtroom doesn't have like a break room in the background or something, We're like, hey, Ken, have you read this? Because right? Billy Mitchell's team already copied this, went through all of it, went through the best parts when they call the judge names and everything that he missed and everything that he did wrong, which is bad for two reasons. One of them is you're getting whatever their arguments are going to be ahead of time. But worst of all, you're saying that you have no respect for their authority, number one. Number two, the person who wrote it has already been linked to Karl Jobst via the trial, via the messages that he got. No, I just didn't get Reddit. I had other sources. Well, all your sources are just not sources, right? The only sources you can trust are court documents. Those you can trust, right? I'm telling you, it's Dumb and Dumber law opinions. And I don't think that Ernst Katz did this out of malice, let me tell you. I think he thought he was being supportive, right? But this is the thing with this kind of trial that you try to put out in public, because, everything that goes out there, people read and people have opinions and people have feelings. Another trial, by the way, that I'll do a video later on today that just is going to go out of control if the judge lets it go, is the Smash JT Elisa Mercante trial. She just pulled a move that just really changed that whole dynamic around. But getting back to this real quick, look, there is no way, absolutely no way in hell, that Karl Jobst is going to win an appeal with this coming out. There's not, right? There isn't anything you're going to tell any of these judges, because the way judges feel is an attack on one is an attack on all, right? If you don't have a respect for authority for one judge, you don't have respect for authority. From everything that you look online from this judge, he's a well-respected man. No matter what you personally may think about him, that's not his reputation out there. And including, including Ernst Katz himself. Right? And this is a 180. Ernst Katz himself said that he liked this judge, that he was, asking the right questions or something of that effect. At least I remember that. And everybody was feeling good about the judge because, he was asking the right questions. Unfortunately, they were focusing on the wrong thing. These guys were always focusing on Billy is lying about scores, and he lied to Twin Galaxies and lied. That had nothing to do with the imputations. Nothing. Right? At the end of the day, even if all those things were true, and even Mudahar told you, right? His best friend, his collaborator, even if all those things are true, it's not as bad as fingering somebody for the passing of somebody else. It's just not. It's in two different planets. Right? And this argument that Karl still wants to make, I mean, that's the insane part. Like, a judge, right, already told him, like, this doesn't hold water, dude. You can't mix both. You can't say that this and that and the other. Like, the other thing that he was hanging on is Billy Mitchell said that he was glad that this man had passed away. That was pre their settlement, right? What is Billy going to say on appeal? He's going to say, yeah, I felt about it that way back then, before I got to know the man, before, we cut a deal. After we cut a deal, we were friendly. We worked things out, and that's, what did he do then? He's not denying it. He said he felt that way back then, not now. And that's still, not a part of why this man decided to do this, because at the end, he named two people, one of which this guy helped, and don't think they're not going to bring that up. One of which Karl Jobst helped to make a video, but I only gave him information and this and that. No. I mean, dude, this guy is nailed to the wall, screwed. But what really did it is this article right here. This article right here is not going to let him get a fair appeal, no matter how much he cries, no matter what he does. And it's just a loser, right? Again, because what are you going to do? Go spend another $200,000 so you can get $100,000 taken off? He's not winning this case. He's not, right? That's just, my point of view. I'm not a lawyer. That's not legal advice. But I mean, how many people out there in their right mind are going to go spend $200,000 more and wait another year when you can just pick up the phone and work it out. Yeah, I got to take some videos down. I got to do this, but hey, you know what? It's better than what he's facing now. It's better than what he's facing now. But are there other options for Karl Jobst? That's what we're going to explore next. Let's talk about some travel plans. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.